So welcome to Men on Scandal. This is our show where we talk about the show Scandal, well, from a man's point of view. And in Washington, D.C. is Troy Johnson. New York City, there's Mark Clark. I'm Tony Scott. In St. Louis, guys, this episode is called It's Good to Be Kink. This one was way out there, man. This one was way, way out there.
I can't wait until we get into this episode because I know you two kinky MFs can help explain some of these titles I heard about. I'm looking forward to that.
The episode starts out with Abby and Leo. They're arguing, but what are they arguing about? That's what I was wondering. But apparently Leo is in this book. This woman, this thick, curvy woman, has apparently bedded down a lot of high-profile people in Washington, D.C., and apparently Leo is one of them. And she describes all of them by nicknames. He's known as the Dust Buster, right?
What?
So you can imagine Dustbuster was probably trending on social media last night because people wanted to know what does that mean?
Well,
and I was trying to think, what does that mean? If you're called the Dustbuster in a sexual way, is it because you suck? What is that? I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know what it means.
Tony, whatever. You know what it means.
I'm on it. I have no idea what it means. I just
no.
I'm slow.
Mark, do you know?
I was just like Dustbuster. I was kind of perplexed too. If I'm honest, Troy. So it looks like you, in fact,
no,
will explain it to
I
us.
don't. But I'm gonna, as we do the show, I'm gonna look it up and find it.
Okay. All right. Cool. So Abby goes to visit OPA. She needs to get this book shut down because everybody knows she's dating Leo. She's also the press secretary. So if this book blows up, she's toast. And she'll make that point later on. We'll get into. So Olivia brings in Sue, the author, to talk about the book and tells her to shut it down. Because if you don't shut it down, I'm going to do what I do. And what I do very well. And I'm going to ruin you. And she basically scared the hell out of that woman, really. The look on her face was like, really? Because she already knew who she was when she showed up at her door. Meantime, Huck goes to talk to David about this B613 investigation because Huck wants immunity. Huck wants no jail time. Huck wants his record wiped clean. And if you think about what they probably had Huck do when he was B613, that's going to be a hard thing to get done, is to get all three of those things done. Because he probably did some very horrific things.
Clean it up, man. You got to clean it up. He can't coach baseball with all that stuff on his record.
But it is what it is. So Sue, the lady who wrote this book, goes to the offices of OPA, and she says, I'm not going to publish the book if you give me $3 million. They're like,
smart move.
Huh?
Yeah, right.
And Sue knows how to play the game. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, because she kind of souped up Olivia about how badass she is, and, you're a legend, and then she turns around and she calls her weak.
Yeah,
she calls Olivia weak.
Yes.
She says, you're weak.
Man, Olivia is getting read more than the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, people are just reading her.
Man.
You ain't all that you thought you were.
And that's from somebody who has no designer clothes on. Like, what?
Right. She's wearing off the rack. What is that?
My wig is on sideways, but you,
man,
you ain't who you thought you were.
Is this sex machine, is she about as frumpy as you get? What is going on?
Well, I mean, and I think that's probably what makes her hotter to some of these guys is no one would ever suspect that she's a serious freak. And at the end of the conversation, she tells Olivia, you can call me a whore, you can call me an author, you can call me an artist, a businesswoman, you can call me smart, and pretty soon you're going to have to call me successful.
Go ahead, girl.
And then she walks up to Huck and she goes, hi,
Yeah.
I'm Sue. And Huck's like, I'm Huck. Now, was Huck intimidated, or did he have wood?
I think Huck kind of felt her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
He does kind of retreat from a woman who kind of overpowers him a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
That was that's crazy, man. So we find out Melly has decided to run for Vice President Ross's old Senate seat in Virginia, and she wants Leo to be her campaign manager, but Abby says that Leo's busy. He's out of the country.
Right.
That's strange. That's strange. I had lunch with him today. Like, Abby,
I just saw him in the hall. Wait a minute. How did you know? But did Abby tell Melly he was out of the country because she just doesn't want to be involved in this, or did she tell this because she knows about this book and she just wants to? Yeah, it's the book thing, right?
It's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
it's
Like
book,
you can't. You know, she doesn't know what's going to happen. She doesn't definitely want to be tied to the chaos that could happen if something bad does go down. And now her boyfriend is, tied to the chances of Melly, trying to win this presidency. It's too much, man.
Yeah. Well, OPA decides to open a file on this young lady who's writing this book, Susan Renee Thomas. Apparently, she was fired from the EPA. She's all over social media, but she's most active on a website called Land of Kink. Lando Kink. All right. And then they find out that Sue probably typed the book on a typewriter. That way she couldn't get hacked.
Imagine that.
She knew who she was dealing with. And Huck was like, that's old school. Much respect.
Typewriter.
Yes. Right.
And you know what?
You
At this point, let me shout out my 81-year-old mother, who was a master typewriter on those old clack, 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 clack.
Is that right?
Clack, 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 clack. My mom was nice with it, man. So go ahead, Jackie Johnson.
Yes, right.
Get your typing ass.
I understand Kool Moe Dee sampled her back in the day typing and used it in one of his songs, man. So it was
clack, 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 cling.
that paid for Mark's first year at Lincoln Land College.
It paid for my whole 2 years. I'm sorry, my whole 4 years at my job.
Wow.
You're on a 4-year plan, man.
Man. So Olivia wants the book. And so Quinn gets, Charlie comes back. She gets Charlie to be Colt. They created a profile on Land of King, Colt. And they set up a date with Sue. Colt/Charlie and Sue. Mm-hmm. And while she's out with Colt/Charlie, Huck breaks into her apartment to get the book. He's got to find it. He does find it. And
it was under 4 butt plugs, actually.
Yeah. He starts scanning the book. And then so we go to the restaurant where they're sitting there talking, having a glass of wine or whatever. And Colt, she says, what do you do? He says, I'm a spy. And she says, I'm a spy too. She's thinking they're playing a game. And Sue says, how would you get my secrets? Charlie says, I'd tie you up. Sue says, then what? He says, I'd torture you. And she goes, how? And he says, I'd tie your arms to the rafters and then nail your feet to the floor. And she says, you'd shackle me and put me under the hot lights? He's like, no. I'd take a nail gun and I'd find a real soft spot between the bones in your feet and slap, slap, slap. And she's like, hold up a second. Wait a minute. What? And so she gets up and leaves. She was clearly overmatched. Charlie scared the hell out of her.
Yes, too much.
I mean, when he did the sound effects of the nail gun, I had to rewind that and watch that again because I was howling, man. That was crazy, man. So we move over to Olivia, who apparently has taken to drinking her meals now. Yeah. She drinks a couple of bottles of wine every night, according to. And this is the whole thing. This whole thing is so messed up because now Jake, who couldn't stand aside of Fitz, and Fitz couldn't stand aside of Jake because they were both, pining for Olivia. And now Jake is reporting to Fitz about Olivia.
That makes me uneasy. Those scenes make me uneasy. I'm like, I don't know if I like it.
And Jake is lousy at it because he doesn't know how's Olivia slipping out. She's slipping out. She's getting drunk, and then she's hitting the clubs. Man, what is that about?
Hey.
But Fitz wants Jake to stay on her. When he said that, I want you to stay on her. I was like,
hey, stay on top of her.
Wait, what? What is that? What do you mean by that? What is that?
That was specifically for us.
And Jake said,
yeah, I'm all over that.
And Jake says, sure, but I don't work for free. So he needs some ends, right?
That makes it even as it is. It's like,
it just makes it dirty, doesn't it?
Yeah,
not right. It's not right.
And so OPA has the book, and they start reading it, and it's pretty steamy. You could tell Quinn's getting a little bit worked up over this book, right? And everybody, every high profile man that's in this book has a code name. Like Leo's the Dustbuster, and then there's Agent Orange. Apparently, he takes a licking and keeps on ticking, whatever that. Then there's Slapjack and Butterfinger and Motorhead and
Rider.
Why was it a Butterfinger?
And then
but her finger. What?
Then there's sit and spin.
Yeah. The Rough Rider.
The Gulch, Joystick, Bunsen Burner. Huh?
Spanky.
Spanky, Sparky, Rough Rider, Thruster, Carpetbagger, Slugger, Rawhide, and then there's the Doctor.
Yep.
Oh,
you didn't see on the other side, they didn't have the Cleveland Steamer. I was looking for that one, but I guess
I don't even want to know anything about. I don't want to know anything about that. But so the Doctor, who is the Doctor? They can't figure out who the Doctor is, and then Abby figures it out. The Doctor, DR. The abbreviation for Doctor is DR. What is DR? DR is David Rosen.
Oh, get it, David.
So they have to go talk to him. And he's like, I was in a bad part of my life. I needed to feel better, and it's just...
Even David was getting in it. But the interesting tie is the fact that Abby has two guys on the list.
Yeah.
You know why.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, that means she's a freak.
But she also, didn't they both have red hair, though? Didn't the other young lady have red hair also?
I don't know what color her hair was, but there's no telling what color her hair would be depending on who she was with. I get the feeling that she would dress up or dress down depending on what was going down. But Cyrus meets Liz at the park.
By the way, Tony, Dustbuster, according to Urban Dictionary, there's several. You can choose which one you want. The cleanest one, was when you sleep with someone 15 years or older than you are. So they're so old they collect dust. So I don't know.
I don't think that's the one, man.
I don't know. I mean, the other ones, knocking the dust off the hoo-ha. So, maybe that's the one. I don't know.
Maybe so, man. Cyrus meets Liz at the park. Marcus dropped off here. We'll have to get him back on. Cyrus meets Liz at the park, and Cyrus basically reminds Liz, "You're still my bitch.
Yes.
You still belong to me. You're going to do what I need you to do." So everybody, all these people with these nicknames, all these men, they meet up at OPA.
An unbelievable moment. No way this is going to happen. All these senators, judges, high-profile businessmen are just going to sneak into the OPA office.
They all went down there, man.
Man, it was like a signing the Declaration of Independence in that room. It was like, come on.
And Sue wants $3 million, as we said earlier, which Olivia breaks down as $175,000 from each one. So if you do the math, that's roughly about 17 guys. David is in the room, the Attorney General. He's one of the guys. He says this is illegal. It's extortion. He basically shuts it down. He says, don't do this because this is going to be a huge problem because I'm Attorney General. And I will, basically he says, if y'all do this, I'm going to prosecute all of y'all. Basically, that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
So.
He can't be a party to, even though he's involved, to extortion, literally breaking the law in front of the Attorney General.
Right.
He can't be a part of that. So,
right.
It's like, and I think the other part was, if we find out later, feeling like she could roll over anyway and
that's
she
true.
could get the money and then still, spill the beans.
True. And then one of the guys brings up, man, I ain't got $175,000.
That's keeping it real right there.
Yeah, but yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got $175,000. You better get to Robinson Banks.
That's right.
So they pretty much agree, though, that, they were going to do this until David shut him down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Huck. Huck wants his immunity so he can go. He wants to go home to Kim and Avi. And at that time, this time when Huck's talking to David doesn't seem interested because he's more interested in what's going on with this book.
Oh,
so he's kind of distracted. Huh?
And his own hide.
Yeah, in his own hide. Because he's clearly distracted, So Huck goes back to OPA, and Quinn actually followed Huck and wants to know what's up. And he tells her, and he says, quit following me. Quinn's got balls. I'll tell you, she's got a lot of nerve. She will do some stuff.
But you know what? I'm taking a point away from her because she should have been on this earlier. He's been running around kind of like not wanting to tell her what's happening with him and, no, nothing's wrong. I mean, he's acting weird around Quinn of all people.
Right.
She should like 2-3 episodes ago. She should have figured this one out.
That's true. So, let's see. So Abby is writing her resignation letter. So this week's soliloquy is from Abby. Mm-hmm. Right? She gets up and she talks. She's talking to Leo, and she talks about why I have to resign because we're a couple. We're a couple, and I have to resign because if this book comes out, you're in it. They're going to find out that it's you, and I can't, keep this job if I'm dating the Dustbuster. So this week's soliloquy, like I said, comes from Abby. And then Abby goes to Cyrus and tells her why she has to resign. And Cyrus is like, yeah, whatever. He's like, yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I'm going to fire you. I got bigger things to do. Go away. It's like, damn, Cyrus.
What you think about the soliloquy, Tony? I think again, it was the soliloquies are always important, and this one speaks to issues that women know this one.
Yeah,
they could have been reciting this right along with her.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was an interesting way to put it, and how guys in general may not even have an inkling of an understanding about all of the things that women are thinking about as they go about their daily lives, especially if they're in high-profile, powerful positions.
And you know what? I would imagine that it doesn't really matter whether you're Abby or whether you're Oprah. There's always going to be sexism that you're going to have to fight. Mm-hmm. Oprah can buy most men and their companies, but she still has to put up with the BS, and that just makes me sad as a man.
Well, the thing is, Tony, with speaking of Oprah, I understand during that scene, Stedman almost killed himself. So it was he's like, not again. He had the gun on the table and he's like, oh Lord, no.
Man.
He gets that speech every summer.
Well, yeah.
And you know who else gets that speech? Me. Look, Mr. Radio Guy. When you go to a strip club, you're putting me in a strip club. And I'm not having it. Just because you're in New York, don't think you can do what you want to do.
That's right.
Because we all know that New York gig can end today.
No, really.
You're right. You're right.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So Olivia, I too almost hung myself. Sorry.
So Olivia starts reading the book herself, and right when she starts reading it, here comes Sexual Healing. Mm-hmm. Starts playing in the background, right? So she's reading, she's drinking her wine. I guess she decides, you know what? This is too much. I'm going to a bar where she meets Russell. Russell, played by Brian White, and his six-pack, right? And he talks about getting dinner, and she's like, "Bump that. Let's go back to my apartment." So
that's why his name was Russell. He's about to rustle all through that.
she goes to the ladies' room to freshen up, and while she's in there, she has a flashback, and she's back in that bathroom where she was held captive a few episodes back, and she freaks the hell out, and she leaves out a side door, and she leaves Russell there. Yeah. She just left. I mean, he's thinking, and he knew what did she say her name was? Alex.
Yeah.
And he knew this ain't Alex. This is Olivia. He knew that was Olivia Pope. Yeah. He knew. You can see the look on his face when she said her name was Alex. He was like, Alex. Damn.
And actor Brian White, I understand, passed. He passed on Tyler Perry's call on that day. The phone was ringing. It said Tyler Perry. He's about to pick it up because he works with Tyler.
Yeah.
And Shonda Rhimes called at the same time. He was like, "To hell with Tyler Perry's call. He can call me back later on." Hello. So a birdie told me that.
Man,
they need to work on. They need to work on her aliases a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they had the wrong song. They could have played Alexander O'Neal. Alex is the name that I go by.
So meantime, Huck finds the reason Sue was fired, the freak, the one who wrote the book, because she went to sleep with her boss. Yeah. And so Olivia uses that angle to try to reach Sue and tell her it ain't about the $3 million. You want justice. You want consequences and ramifications from this guy. And she basically buys into it. And they meet with what was the girl's name? Was she a lawyer? Was she a government? What was she do?
She was a lawyer.
She was a lawyer. Okay. So Olivia tell Sue, if you want justice, let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Mm-hmm. Right?
File a lawsuit.
Yep, file a lawsuit. Cyrus meets with Olivia.
He's got that other thing that she wanted, a job.
That's right. She did set her up with some interviews, right? Yeah, that was really cool. So Cyrus meets with Olivia, and he's toting $3 million in cash because he wants that book. He wants that book because he wants it because he can use the book in his favor, and she finally figures that out. You know, Elizabeth meets with Melly to pitch herself for campaign manager because she says, I can't be Cyrus Bean's bitch anymore. I can't do that, man. Right. So apparently they're gonna jump in bed together. Mm-hmm. Well, not that way. So Quinn and Huck show up at Sue's apartment, where Double Stuff is holding her at knife point.
Actually, his name is Broke Ass Double Stuff.
so
who's got $100,000? What? They looked at him like, "Are you crazy? What? Do you know what we do? We poop $100,000. What are you doing?"
So when Huck and Quinn walk in and they see Double Stuff with this knife, you know, Quinn she pulls her gun, right? And Huck kind of just stands there and is like, aren't these roles reversed? With Huck's training and all this stuff, aren't these roles reversed in a way? But they because Huck does grab Double Stuff and tells him to leave. Yeah. Right. And so the girl
Huck wasn't fazed because he knew that the guy was in a panic. He just wanted to threaten the girl. Mm-hmm. He knew he wasn't really going to do it. Plus, he's a congressman. He's not going to do it.
Well, but the girl's kind of freaking out because she just went through this ordeal and stuff, and she's talking, and Huck's getting that look, man. He's got that look in his eyes, and he picks up the knife and he slits the woman's throat. I mean, that move was so cold, man. That was just one fell swoop, and she dropped. That came out of nowhere, man. That shocked me. I was like, wow.
I was in shock. I was in shock because when they started playing Frankie Beverly and Maze, I can tell by the look in your eye. I knew something was about to happen.
Something's wrong.
I can tell by the look in your eye.
And the thing is, when she fell to the ground, if you rewound it, it looks like she was rising up. It looked like she was rising from the dead, man. But
see, Tony, leave the weed alone, Tony. That's your second rewind on the show.
I don't know, man. So she's dead. Quinn's like, "What the hell did you just do?" And he's explaining to her that he had to do this because this was jeopardizing his immunity from this B613 investigation because David was distracted. And if David's in this book and he goes down, they get a new attorney general, there's no way he's going to get immunity because he's looking at he can get immunity because of his friendship with David. Mm-hmm.
Huck is he's losing it.
Huck's trying to go home, man.
He wants to go home. Anymore. He wants to go home to Kim and Javi.
Yeah. So if in fact she had this book. She doesn't have the book anymore. She's happy. She's good. Now it's just rumors. Yeah, I kicked it with David Rosen. You kicked it with a whole bunch of people. It basically was off the table.
Well, I mean, the thing is just because they didn't. I don't think they knew for sure that the only copies of that book were in that yellow folder and on that jump drive, that flash drive. I don't think So they could. I don't think they could take the chance. At least Huck was like, I can kill her, and this is the whole thing because she'll never be able to speak. Mm-hmm. And his point was, at some point she's going to say something, right? And it's going to bring down the whole thing. So let me just end this right now, which is what he did. So Quinn grabs the book. Huck's telling Sue that he's sorry.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm dead.
Now they leave. Now my wife pointed out that when they left, but she says, they left. They didn't clean it up. Quinn left her fingerprints on the counter. So they've left evidence behind. I mean, did Huck take the knife?
I think that. Well, I think the assumption is they took care of business.
Mm-hmm.
They do this all the time, man. Killing's what they do. It's like lunch.
Well,
like
yeah.
lunch.
Okay. All right.
It's like eating the corned beef and rye for them. They clean it up, bleach, clean it up, fingerprints, weapons.
Right.
So
body,
Quinn meets with Olivia, and Quinn's working the angle. I don't know who killed Sue. Yeah. Because Olivia asked her if she knows who did this, and Quinn says, "You know what? But it doesn't really matter because she's no longer your client. Abby's your client, and Abby's family." When you think about like where Quinn came from to where she is now, man, she's really good at what she does. Now she's manipulating Olivia Pope.
Going crazy for real, because you're listening to Quinn's ass? Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you? Oh, no.
Yeah. But Olivia wants justice for Sue. And Quinn tells Olivia that justice for Sue comes at a cost. I mean, she's doing everything she can do to not say
right.
that one of us did this to Sue.
To not say Huck killed somebody again. Damn.
Again, yeah. Now, Huck does get his immunity from David. And David feels...
Glad he washed his hands before he signed that paper.
Man, I mean, when he left, he had all that blood on his face.
Yeah.
David, though, feels he had a hand in Sue's murder.
Yes. Yes, you did.
And I guess you can look at it from a lot of different points of view that he did, because he waited too long to do anything. He didn't do anything. Right. He's in the book. I mean, probably did. There's probably like 16 other men who had a hand in her murder.
Yeah.
So, what was that?
Huck did not care what he was talking about.
No.
All he heard was sign this document.
That's it. So he's got his immunity. So we go back to Leo and Abby, and Abby tells Leo, I read the book, and the book is really steamy, really something, especially chapter 5. So Leo wants to know what's in chapter 5. And they kind of start making out, and he tells her, we need to do this in honor of Sue. Typical man, right? Yeah. Typical man, finding any angle he can to get them draws, right?
Hey,
yes, we're gonna.
If she was around, what would she be doing right now?
We're gonna do this in honor of a woman who had her throat slit not even 24 hours ago.
Damn. Man.
So Abby's, she's all in. She tells him to go to the kitchen, take off your clothes, and take out the butter. I was like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know anymore. I'm good. I don't want to know about chapter 5.
And that's how you make biscuits.
Olivia's back at the bar. Apparently she's reading the book again. And she's got a little turned on. So she's at the bar, and Russell's there, and they finally hook up. Mm-hmm. She takes him back to her apartment. I mean, to me, she is so traumatized that she's actually like living very dangerously at this point, more dangerously than normal, if that's a way to put it.
She was inspired by Sue, because she said, I own my body, and this is my story. I can do what I want with it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, the two guys who are still sitting in the Oval Office trying to reminisce without talking about, without bumping eggplants.
Yeah.
They're still sitting in the office, talking about her and, is she going to be okay?
Yeah.
She's all right.
Yeah. Well,
she's about to be all right.
Olivia tells Russell to go into the bedroom and take your clothes off. Yeah. And she grabs the wine and 2 glasses.
And crept up from behind. So, that's what was that Aretha Franklin's Mr. What was the song playing?
I know it was Aretha Franklin. I can't remember what the song was.
Mr. What is it? Mr. Goodbar, whatever.
Mr. Good stuff. No, it wasn't.
No, it was Mr. Something. I forgot. I don't remember. I know what you're talking about though. But yeah. So the episode ends like that. So there you go. So what I miss?
Olivia did it with her brother. Yay! Actually, that was dedicated to 100 Black Men. That episode, the only one this season.
A lot of women ordering men around sexually to this episode.
This episode, yeah.
Take your damn clothes off and get the butter. All right.
Well, that was the episode, though. I gotta say,
get it together, man. When will Olivia get it together? She's just gonna wander around. What's gonna happen?
I mean, she's gonna have to confront, those demons that are torturing her right now, and get past it. Because if she doesn't, now, I would say this. I mean, if this was like a one-time thing with Russell, okay. But if she starts bedding down like a lot of men because she's traumatized and she's drinking too much and all that kind of stuff like that, that's going to be a problem down the road. And I don't think her life will never. I mean, the whole show is based on the premise that really her life is a mess. Her personal life it's just a mess.
And when we go through trauma and we try to solve it by having various different sex partners, you eventually find yourself at a lonely bar at the end of the road with a little person from Persia. And we don't want this to happen. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Were you telling a cautionary tale?
I'm sorry. Maybe it won't end that way for her, but I've heard it happen. I heard that happen to some people.
Let me give it up for Mark, the only person who's used the word Persia in the 21st century. You been watching I Dream of Jeannie or something, man? What the hell's going on with you? Persia.
Shout out to the Kardashians.
Oh, man. The episode's called It's Good to Be Kink. So comments and all that, welcome down below. If you can do so, that would be great. Sharing it would be awesome. Thumbs up makes us walk with our head held a little higher. All right. Appreciate you checking out this episode of Men on Scandal. So around the room we go again. Mark Clark in New York City. Troy Johnson in Washington, D.C. I'm Tony Scott in St. Louis. And we'll see you next time for Men on Scandal.